As I travel around the country giving keynotes and doing trainings, one of the most common things I'm asked is, hey, Jeff, how do I accelerate my relationships? I know they're important, but I really want to figure out a way to bridge that gap between me and my contacts and my prospects and to make them meaningful relationships. And I need to do it quickly because everybody knows a salesperson goes from hero to zero, quarter over quarter, and we got to keep making the number. So here's some great advice. A simple way to create meaningful relationships in a quick period of time using 3 simple techniques. First of all, think about your contacts as not the front of their business card, but the back of their business card. What's on the front? Their title, the name of the company, everything that makes them a prospect and everything that gives them power in the transaction between you and them. We want to turn that business card over to the blank side and start filling in those elements, the things that makes that person a person when they're not at the office, when they're home with their family, when they're just being one of the guys or one of the gals with their friends. And we could do 3 things to try to make that happen. First is, before you walk into that office, I want you to suspend your prejudice. That's right, your prejudice. Face it, because we all know how we feel when we walk into a big CXO's office, some chief executive with a reputation, and we have to ask ourselves, am I going to have any value in this conversation? Am I even worthy of this meeting? You've got to allow yourself, commit to yourself that you are worthy of being in that room. And you've also got to suspend your prejudices about the person you haven't even met yet, because you've already decided who they are based on a title, based on a company prospectus, and you don't know if that's the person. The second thing that we need to do is we need to create physical and psychological distance whenever we can. Now, what does that mean? It means that what makes a contact is just like what we said. It's the name of the company. It's the title they hold. It's sitting behind that desk. It's being in that office. What we need to do is get them away from that. We need to create physical and psychological distance from everything that makes them a contact and put them in an environment that is conducive to becoming a friend. Have coffee with them. Go out to dinner with them. If you can, do something between the families. Coach a baseball team together. Create a civic partnership and go out and do something in the community. Anything that allows you to get side by side with that contact as you would the people that are most important in your life, your personal relationships. The third thing, and this is very important because anybody who's old-time salesperson knows that one of the things we're first taught is you walk into an office and what do? You do 2 things. First of all, you look down at the desk and you've been taught to read upside down so you can figure out what everybody's working on. And then the second thing is you look around and you try to find something to talk about that might be on the credenza, something of interest. But instead of asking, when you see that thing on the credenza, something of interest, instead of asking what that is, ask why the person has it. Let me give you a little story about a client of mine. I was in Philadelphia, and I walk into the office, and instead of asking why this person, or why did this person have this little helmet on their credenza, and the helmet was of the Houston Texans football team. Now, anybody that's traveled to Philadelphia knows you don't root for teams that are not from Philadelphia, and you certainly don't leave it out on your credenza if you are rooting for a team that's not a local team. So I asked him, why would you have that? Can you tell me the story behind why that helmet is there? And he said to me, he says, Jeff, his voice changed, his intonations changed, and it suddenly became a conversation between friends. He said, Jeff, for the last 20 years I've worked at this company, and every 3 years I've had to move in order to move up in the company. But now I have a son, and the last place I lived was in Houston. My son was 6 when we moved there, and 9 when we left. And at the time, this new football team, the Houston Texans, came to town and we used to go to the games together and we had a great time. And I said, oh, so that's why you have the helmet, to remind you of that? And he said, no, that's not it at all. The day that we were moving to Philadelphia, my wife came up to me and she handed me this box. And I said, oh, were you giving me a memento? And she goes, no, it's a reminder that we're never doing this again. We're not doing this to our son. This was our home. From that point on, my conversation with that contact was no longer a professional conversation. It was a conversation between 2 fathers, between 2 friends. So try it. Try it sometime. These 3 rules could change the way that you accelerate your relationships.